Michael Jackson was the most famous man on earth, but fame didn't protect him. It blinded everyone around him. For decades, he was surrounded by experts, doctors, advisors, handlers, all meant to protect him. And yet, in the end, not one of them did. On paper, his death was ruled a tragedy. One doctor, one error, one moment gone wrong. But what if the real story started years before that day? What if Michael's downfall was carefully built, prescription by prescription, silence by silence, until his body gave out? This wasn't just an accident. This was a system collapsing from within. So, who was behind Michael Jackson's tragic end? Don't blink, because the most shocking revelations are still to come. If this already has you questioning what's real in Hollywood, hit that like button and subscribe for more celebrity stories they don't want you to hear. June 25th, 2009. Michael Jackson was just weeks away from his biggest comeback ever, the This Is It tour. But inside his Los Angeles mansion, something went terribly wrong. At 12:21 p.m., a 911 call was placed. Michael was unresponsive. His doctor, Conrad Murray, tried to revive him. Paramedics rushed him to UCLA Medical Center, but it was too late. The world had lost the king of pop. TMZ broke the story first, and within minutes, global chaos followed. Streets filled with fans, news outlets went live. No one could believe it. At first, it was called a medical emergency. But days later, the truth emerged. This wasn't natural. A surgical-grade sedative, never meant for home use, had been found in dangerously high levels. All fingers pointed to Dr. Conrad Murray. He became the face of blame. But here's what most people missed. Murray didn't introduce that drug into Michael's life. He wasn't the first doctor to say yes. He was just the last one still standing. After Michael's passing, one name dominated the headlines: Dr. Conrad Murray. He was the doctor on site that morning. He administered the sleep aid. He called for help. And soon, he was held legally responsible for what happened. But was he truly to blame, or just the last man in a much longer chain? Murray wasn't some outsider. Michael had personally chosen him, not for prestige, but because he was willing to do what others wouldn't. According to Murray, Michael had been using this sedative for years. He even had a nickname for it: Milk. And if Murray didn't provide it, Michael warned he'd simply find someone else who would. Murray claimed he was trying to step Michael down from the drug, but in those final days, exhausted under pressure and desperate for rest, he gave in. He stepped away, and when he returned, it was already too late. He faced legal consequences, but as the headlines faded, something became clear. He wasn't the only doctor involved, just the easiest one to hold accountable. While Dr. Murray took the blame publicly, many believe the real story started earlier with Dr. Arnold Klein, Michael's longtime dermatologist and close friend. Klein wasn't just a skin doctor, he became part of Michael's inner circle, someone who treated him almost daily. But what raised eyebrows wasn't the treatments. It was what happened during them. Michael would walk into Klein's office looking fine, and leave hours later barely able to stand. Footage showed the pattern, so did staff testimony. Klein reportedly gave high-dose pain relievers for minor procedures. Over just a few months, Michael received dozens of powerful injections, far more than typical. Even Debbie Rowe, Michael's ex-wife and former Klein assistant, later admitted, "There are people who didn't make it, and in some way, I was part of that." But Klein wasn't alone. Michael had multiple doctors across states and countries, writing prescriptions under fake names, 19 aliases in total. And while the world saw a superstar, some doctors saw something else: status, access, and influence. In that environment, boundaries blurred and no one said no. Michael Jackson's struggle didn't start in 2009. It began 25 years earlier, in 1984, during the filming of a Pepsi commercial. A pyrotechnic mishap set his hair on fire, causing serious burns to his scalp. The pain was real, and so was the prescription. Doctors gave him pain relief, then more, and more again. And from that moment on, Michael's life quietly split into two: the public performer and the private patient. Over the years, his schedule never slowed. He recorded Thriller, Bad, Dangerous. He toured for months at a time, pushing his body to the edge. and every time the pain returned or the exhaustion set in, more pills, more prescriptions, more More injections, more doctors followed. By the mid-90s, insiders say Michael had graduated from basic pain meds to heavy anesthetics, sometimes even using IVs backstage to stay on his feet. When he could no longer function, shows were canceled. Tour legs were dropped. Public statements blamed exhaustion, but behind the scenes, addiction was quietly taking over. In one shocking moment, a doctor testified he tried to give Michael a routine injection, but his skin was so scarred from prior shots, the needle bent on contact, and yet, the show always had to go on. When the This Is It tour was announced in 2009, it was supposed to be Michael's triumphant return, but those around him noticed the signs. He wasn't sleeping, he wasn't eating, he was fading. Desperate to perform, he turned once again to what had always helped him push through: prescriptions. The problem? The doses were no longer small, and the risks were no longer hidden. He rehearsed up until the very end, but he was running on empty. After Michael's passing, all eyes turned to Dr. Conrad Murray. He faced trial, served time, and became the symbol of blame. But the truth, it was never just him. Michael had been treated by dozens of doctors, some prescribed under fake names, some gave him powerful medications for minor issues, and many looked the other way, because being close to Michael came with perks. Then, there was the business side. With This Is It on the horizon, Michael was under enormous pressure, physically, financially, emotionally. Even when he showed signs of exhaustion and confusion, the show went on. Executives knew something was wrong, but no one stepped in. Everyone wanted something from him, but no one protected him. The Jackson family later sued the tour promoters, claiming they pushed him too far. But the case failed, just like the system that should have kept him safe. So who was really responsible? The doctors, the handlers, the industry? Maybe it wasn't one person at all. Maybe it was everyone who didn't say no. Michael Jackson gave the world music, magic, and moments we'll never forget. But behind the spotlight was a man surrounded by pressure, prescriptions, and people who never truly said, stop. He didn't just need applause, he needed protection. So now we ask you, who do you think failed him most? Let us know in the comments. And if you want more stories that reveal what really happens behind the headlines, hit that like button and subscribe. Because the truth, it's rarely what it seems in Hollywood.